Hi, who am I here with today?
I'm Dr.Nelly Kaakaty.
Okay, nice to meet you. So, from your experience as a psychologist, how common are stress and anxiety among students today compared to the past? From what you know.
So it's very common, and I think most of the time people will say that after social media and now that we have access to the internet 24/7 on our phones, that anxiety and stress have really just increased because it used to be you could experience school and then go home and you have some separation, but now people have access to you 24/7, which can be really stressful.
How do stress and anxiety typically show up differently in elementary school students, middle school, high school, and even college?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for the younger kids, a lot of times they can't necessarily articulate that they're feeling stressed. So I have three little kids, and I mean, you know, come to that, but they're very chatty, so they can tell me like I'm sad or like those are some signs. But sometimes for kids, like they might be getting a stomach ache and they might not know why. And that can be it manifests very physically with little kids. And of course, like maybe they'll have like very big reactions to things, like maybe something that doesn't seem like a big deal to an adult, but like the kid is like crying. That could be a sign of like stress or anxiety. So sometimes for kids, it's very physical and it can be just like emotional outbursts. And then as kids get older, in like middle school and high school, and they're able to manage their emotions a little bit better, it just looks different. Like now they're stressed over things that are less like tangible. It's not like they're stressed because somebody took a toy from them. They're like stressed because they're like worried that their friend doesn't want to hang out with them anymore, or they're worried about what their parents think, or they're worried about tests. So it looks, I would say, like when it's younger kids, it's a lot more visible, whether it's showing up in their bodies or it's something like in their environment that's triggering it. And then as they get older, it becomes a lot more internal, and that's what we see with middle, high school, and then college.
So, what are the biggest risk factors in the education system that like contribute to the stress of students and like anxiety?
So in the education system specifically, I think just not having mental health support is a huge risk factor, because a lot of schools will have counselors, but the counselors are focused on like testing, or they're like guidance counselors, but really they're doing like paperwork kind of stuff, and they're not really available to actually talk to students or like create programming to support kids. So just in terms of the school system specifically, that's one thing, is just not having enough people who are there to help support kids and not enough programming or raising awareness. So like what the work that you're doing is huge because it keeps this a big part of the conversation. So even if students weren't thinking about it, now they're like, well, there's like an Instagram account I go to and like they were talking about this, and so I'm not the only person who's feeling this way. So the more like awareness that we raise, the better. Other risk factors are like a lack of support, a lot of so I work at a school that has it's like very rigorous and is very fast paced, and like thankfully we have a lot of support there. But if you have like really, really high standards without the support, or giving students so much homework without like teaching them how to manage their time, like those kinds of things can be really stressful.
Like in your school, for example, do you find that certain groups of students are more like vulnerable to this stress and anxiety, and like do you see that there's a reason for that, or?
Yeah, so I see that some students are more vulnerable because maybe they haven't learned yet like how to manage their emotions, or maybe they are coming from an environment where that's just not talked about, or their experiences are minimized. So the students who really struggle are students who maybe are told at home like it's not really that big of a deal, or like you should just work harder, or their struggles are minimized. And I think that is a big risk factor. If you don't feel like you have someone you can talk to about it and just be very honest with, that tends to be a risk.
So what like protective factors help reduce stress and anxiety in students despite this like pressure they feel to get good grades or just do good in general?
So I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but truly having, I think one of the biggest protectors is having someone or a system there that can be supportive, whether it's a person you can go to, or just knowing how to manage your stress. And that can start at a really young age. Like if you're feeling upset, like you can go and color, like learning what to do when you're feeling that way. So those are some of the protections. It's like raising awareness, talking about it, not feeling like you're so alone, because that's when we see most people struggle. It's feeling like they're the only ones experiencing it.
Okay, so what skills can students develop to build that long-term like resilience and like courage in academic settings?
Specifically in like the academic world, a lot of the stress comes from struggles with like time management or organization or like knowing how to advocate for yourself. So when you do need help, like who do you go to? Or if you're struggling in chemistry, like do you have the ability to like, actually go and reach out to your teacher or email them? So some of the skills that students need are like being able to manage their time, being able to organize their like thoughts and ideas, and then being able to advocate for themselves. Like when you do, because we're all going to get into situations where we need help and we need to turn to someone, but having the ability to do that is really important.
Okay, and finally, what advice would you give to students who feel overwhelmed but like they might feel too embarrassed to ask or scared?
The first thing I would say is you're not alone. And I think especially as Muslims, there are so many things that are built into our religion that are coping mechanisms and that are very preventative. So like if you don't feel comfortable talking to a person, like talk to Allah. Like it's always there, it's always listening. And like, I think it's not okay when people dismiss struggles and like, we'll just pray, but you should pray because you can let it all out. And if you're not comfortable talking to anybody, there is someone who's always listening. And if you don't know where to start, because I think a lot of times people struggle because they don't maybe want to share things that they think they'll be judged about, but Allah already knows, so you don't have to start from the beginning of the story. So that would be my piece of advice, is like, especially in this community, like we are really blessed, alhamdulillah, to be Muslim and to have a lot of like support even within that. And so I would say like turn to faith in the darkest moments.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.